Voiceover. For decades, scientists believed they had mapped the boundaries of animal cognition, setting clear lines between human intellect and the rest of the natural world. They designed intricate tests, built complex puzzles, and established benchmarks they were certain no animal could surpass. But one creature, an animal often dismissed as a simple bird, would shatter those assumptions in a display of intelligence so profound it forced us to question everything we thought we knew. Caught on camera, it didn't just solve a puzzle, it invented a tool, defied expectations. And what it did next left the entire scientific community in absolute. This isn't just a story about a clever bird. It's a story about the hidden depths of the animal mind. A tale of ingenuity that unfolds in the most unexpected of places. It's a powerful reminder that intelligence isn't a single, linear scale with humans at the top. The animal you're about to meet, a New Caledonian crow named Betty, didn't just pass the test set for her. She fundamentally changed the way we understand problem-solving in the animal kingdom, proving that true genius can be found where we least expect it. Researchers at Oxford University had designed an experiment to test the problem-solving abilities of New Caledonian crows, a species already known for its impressive use of tools. The setup was designed to be a definitive challenge, a test that would push the limits of their known capabilities. A small bucket containing a delicious piece of pig heart was placed inside a tall, transparent plastic tube. The only way to retrieve the food was by hooking the bucket's handle and lifting it out. The scientists provided the crows with two tools. One was a straight wire, too short to reach the bucket, and the other was a wire with a pre-made hook on the end. The initial trials went exactly as expected. The crows, when given the hooked wire, quickly understood its function. They would insert it into the tube, snag the handle, and deftly pull up their reward. But the real test was what would happen when the hooked wire was taken away, leaving only the useless, straight piece of wire. The hypothesis was clear. Without the correct tool, the task was impossible. The scientists were certain the crows would try, fail, and eventually give up, proving that their intelligence was limited to using existing tools, not creating new ones to solve a novel problem. This was the moment that was supposed to define the ceiling of their cognitive abilities. But then, the cameras rolled on Betty. She was presented with the tube, the tantalizing treat just out of reach, and only the straight piece of wire. For a moment, she assessed the situation, peering down the tube at the bucket and then looking at the inadequate tool in front of her. She tried to poke at the bucket with the straight wire, but it was useless. Frustration could have easily set in. Another animal might have screeched, abandoned the task, or simply waited for a better tool to be provided. But Betty did something that no one in the room anticipated. Something that had never been documented before. With a calm, deliberate focus that seemed almost human, she took the straight wire in her beak. She flew over to a small crack in the base of the plastic tube holder, wedged the tip of the wire firmly into it, and then used her beak to pull the other end, bending it into a perfect, functional hook. It wasn't an accident, it was a calculated, multi-step process of tool manufacture. She had identified a problem, understood the properties of the material she was working with, and executed a precise plan to create the solution she needed. Then, holding her newly fashioned tool, she returned to the tube, inserted the hook, latched onto the bucket's handle, and calmly lifted her prize out. The room went silent. The scientists, who had dedicated their careers to studying animal behavior, stared at the monitor in disbelief. They had just witnessed something they thought was impossible. This wasn't just tool use. This was tool asterisk, creation asterisk. Betty had not been trained to do this. She hadn't seen another crow do it. She had spontaneously invented a solution to a problem she had never encountered before. It was a moment of pure, unadulterated intelligence, a flash of insight, planning, and mechanical understanding that bridged the gap between instinct and true cognition. This single act forced the complete reevaluation of avian intelligence and, by extension, the intelligence of all non-human animals. Betty wasn't just smart for a bird. She had demonstrated a level of abstract reasoning that scientists once thought was exclusively human. Of course, the story of animal intelligence doesn't begin and end with Betty. The natural world is filled with minds that challenge our perception of what it means to be smart. Take the dolphin, a creature whose brain is famously large and complex. Dolphins have been observed using sea sponges as protective masks for their rostrums or beaks while foraging on the seafloor. This is a learned behavior, a tradition passed down from mother to calf, representing a form of animal culture. They also communicate through a sophisticated system of clicks and whistles, and some researchers even believe they call each other by unique names, specific whistles that identify individuals within a pop. Their ability to coordinate group hunting strategies, with each dolphin playing a specific role, speaks to a level of social intelligence and communication that is nothing short of breathtaking. Then there is the master of camouflage and escape, the octopus, with a distributed nervous system, meaning a large portion of its neurons are in its arms, not just its brain. It can be said that each of its 8 arms has a mind of its own. This allows them to solve complex puzzles, like opening screw-top jars from the inside, a feat requiring dexterity and an understanding of mechanics that baffles onlookers. They are notorious escape artists in aquariums, known for slipping through impossibly small cracks, dismantling plumbing, and even occasionally making a break for the open ocean. They've been observed demonstrating what appears to be play repeatedly throwing objects against a jet of water and even holding grudges against specific humans, squirting water at them whenever they pass by. This isn't just a collection of reflexes, it's the mark of a curious, problem-solving, and perhaps even emotional mind. These examples, from Betty the toolmaker to the cultural dolphins and the cunning octopus, are not just isolated anecdotes. They're windows into a world teeming with thought, strategy, and awareness. For too long, we have operated under the assumption that our species holds a monopoly on complex intelligence. We created tests based on human logic, measured success by our own standards, and were consistently surprised when an animal failed to conform. But the story of Betty and others like her teaches us a profound lesson. Intelligence is not a single mountain with humans at the peak, but a vast and diverse landscape with many different peaks. The real revolution in our understanding of animal intelligence is the realization that we need to meet these creatures on their own terms. We are beginning to ask not how smart are they, but how are they smart? We are designing experiments that cater to an octopus's body, a crow's environment, or a dolphin's social structure. And the more we look, the more we find. We're discovering that crows can remember human faces and pass that information on to other crows. That elephants mourn their dead, and that even insects like bees can understand the concept of zero. This story, the story of Betty the Crow and countless other animals outsmarting our tests, is more than just a collection of fascinating facts. It's a call for humility. It is a humbling reminder that the universe of consciousness is far richer and more varied than we ever imagined. These creatures are not just subjects of our experiments. They are fellow inhabitants of a planet filled with mystery and wonder. The moment Betty bent that wire, she wasn't just trying to get a piece of food. She was sending a message across the species divide. A message that we are only now beginning to truly understand. This was intelligence, curiosity, planning, and persistence working together to reshape our world. And it invites us all to look at the animals around us with new eyes, to see not what we think they are, but what they truly have the potential to be. Don't forget to subscribe for more stories that will make you rethink the world around you.